Hello everyone, nice to meet you. My name is Zhou Jingyi. I worked as a doctor in a Chinese hospital for many years and have now been transferred to a general hospital in Japan. I hope to share the latest medical knowledge with everyone in Japan in an easy-to-understand way. My speaking style may be a little formal, but I hope you will bear with me. Now today I will be talking to you about a surprising new scientific discovery that is deeply related to the blueprint of life in men. First, please look at this graph and data. You all know that human cells contain bundles of genetic information called chromosomes, right? Humans have 46 chromosomes arranged in pairs. Of these, the sex chromosomes determine our biological sex. Females have the XX combination, while males have the XY combination. The Y chromosome has long been seen as the master switch for male development. Recent research has revealed a startling phenomenon. The Y chromosome, which is only present in males, actually begins to disappear from the body's cells as men age. The statistics are quite remarkable. Approximately 40% of men aged 60 already show signs of this genetic loss in their blood cells. By the time men reach age 90, this figure jumps to approximately 57%. This is not a rare occurrence. It is a widespread biological shift. This discovery is explained in detail in a recent review article published in the academic media outlet The Conversation by Professor Jenny Graves of La Trobe University in Australia and her colleagues. But why does this happen? To understand, we must look at cell division, the daily process where our bodies copy and renew our cells. The Y chromosome has a unique, repetitive structure that makes it prone to errors during this copying process. It is statistically more fragile than other chromosomes. Think of it like a high-speed copier printing thousands of documents. Occasionally, one specific sheet, the Y chromosome, gets crumpled in a gap and is thrown out of the machine. As a result, as the years go by, cells with and without the Y chromosome end up mixed together throughout your body like a biological mosaic. This mosaic loss of Ys is particularly visible in white blood cells, which are the sentinels of our immune system and flow to every corner of our organs. Until very recently, even the medical community didn't consider this a major problem. For decades, the Y chromosome was thought to be largely useless after development. This is because the Y chromosome is significantly smaller than its peers. It holds far fewer genes than almost any other chromosome in the human genome. While other chromosomes contain thousands of genes, the Y has only 51 that actually produce proteins. Most are dedicated solely to male sex determination and sperm production. Because of this, it was believed that once a man reached adulthood and had children, the Y chromosome's job was essentially done. It was seen as genetically retired. Even in laboratory settings, researchers noticed that cells didn't die just because they lost their Y chromosome. They seemed to function just fine in isolation. It was often compared to a fog lamp on a car. It's nice to have in specific conditions, but you don't really need it for the engine to run or the car to drive. This common understanding provided a sense of security. Doctors assumed that since the Y chromosome was so small, its disappearance was a harmless byproduct of aging. However, that consensus is now being completely overturned by a flood of new data from large-scale genetic studies around the world. We are realizing that the puny Y chromosome has a secret life, and its absence is a silent signal of systemic health risks. Recent data accumulated from hundreds of thousands of men worldwide shows that Y chromosome loss is directly linked to a risk of serious diseases. These aren't just minor ailments. These are conditions that significantly shorten men's lifespans and affect their quality of life. The first major link is with cardiovascular disease. A large-scale German study found a high correlation between Y loss and heart complications. Specifically, men over 60 with a high frequency of Y chromosome loss were found to have a significantly increased risk of suffering a heart attack. Perhaps even more shocking is the link to Alzheimer's disease. The brain's health seems to be tied to these genetic sentinels in a way we never expected. Research indicates that Y chromosome loss is 10 times more frequent in patients with Alzheimer's disease compared to healthy individuals of the same age. The Y chromosome also appears to play a role in immune surveillance against cancer. When it disappears, the body's defenses may weaken. Loss of the Y is associated with a higher risk of developing various cancers and, sadly, a much worse prognosis and faster disease progression after diagnosis. Finally, we see a link to kidney disease. Loss of the Y chromosome in kidney cells can impair their ability to filter toxins and respond to infections. This might even explain the sex difference in COVID-19 mortality, why men were more likely to develop severe symptoms and higher mortality rates. Imagine thinking it's just a fog light that's gone out, when in reality, the electronic control systems for the entire engine and brakes are starting to malfunction. This is the level of shock currently sweeping through the medical community as we realize the scale of this genetic impact. This brings us to a critical scientific question. Does the Y chromosome disappear because of disease? Or does the disease happen because the Y chromosome is gone? Was it just a marker of aging, like grey hair, or was it the actual driver? To find out, scientists turned to a crucial mouse experiment. In this study, scientists intentionally removed the Y chromosome from the blood cells of mice using advanced genetic engineering. These Y-less blood cells were then transplanted into mice, whose own blood production had been suppressed. The researchers then watched what happened. The results were definitive. The mice with blood cells lacking the Y chromosome showed a significantly increased incidence of age-related diseases. Most notably, they developed decreased cardiac function, which eventually progressed to full heart failure in many of the subjects. The experiment proved that the loss of the Y chromosome is not merely a sign of aging. It is a direct culprit, the primary cause of these diseases. By identifying it as the primary cause, we have opened a new door for preventative medicine and targeted treatments for men's health. So, how can just 51 genes have such a massive impact on the heart, the brain, and the entire immune system? There are two main biological reasons. The first is the imbalance with the X chromosome. Several vital genes on the Y chromosome actually have a matching pair, or copy, on the X chromosome. Both men and women normally use 2 copies of these specific genes to maintain cellular control and keep biological processes in check. When the Y chromosome disappears, only 1 copy remains. This half-power state leads to a loss of control within the cell's internal environment. The second reason lies in the non-coding regions. For years, scientists thought the majority of the Y chromosome was just junk DNA. We now know these regions act like a conductor in an orchestra. They don't play instruments, produce proteins, but they control everyone who does. Without these conductors, immune cells can run amok. They may stop attacking viruses and cancer cells, or even start attacking your own healthy organs. This leads to chronic inflammation and fibrosis, the hardening of tissues in the heart and lungs that eventually leads to organ failure. This systemic impact is why a small genetic loss in the blood can lead to a catastrophic collapse of the body's most vital systems as we age. The complete decoding of the human Y chromosome was only achieved a few years ago. We are only now beginning to understand its true power. Further research into which specific genes cause heart disease and cancer will lead to revolutionary new treatments to prevent this genetic loss. We are looking at a future where drugs can compensate for lost Y functions, extending the healthy lifespan of millions of men around the world. As we continue to expand our understanding, it is vital to remember that medical advancements are progressing rapidly. Staying informed is your best defense. Here in Japan, our general hospital is at the forefront of integrating this international research into our patient care protocols. We are monitoring these biomarkers closely. Remember, while genetics provides the blueprint, lifestyle and early intervention are the tools we use to build a long and healthy life. We invite you to stay curious and proactive about your health data. The journey to understanding the Y chromosome is just the beginning of a new era in precision medicine. Medical advancements are progressing rapidly. Here in Japan, I will continue to learn about new medical findings and share them clearly to protect your health. That concludes today's lecture. Until next time, Zaijian in Chinese, see you soon.